I can't tell you how many times I've heard business owners say, nobody wants to work anymore. But is that really true? Or is it just that business owners don't want to put in the work it takes to find and retain and hire top-level talent? And just to give you a little bit of context, last year we took 3 home service businesses to over $1 million in revenue each in less than a year, and I was never in the field once. And I say that not to brag, but just so that you know that this works. I've done it for multiple companies in multiple industries, so it will work for you. So here's the problem. Most contractors fall into one of 3 problems when it comes to hiring. They either A, don't have enough people to help them get the work done, B, the employees they have are not quote unquote good, or C, and most likely, combination of both. Here's what I see a lot of the time. You're struggling to get enough people, and when you do, they're not up to your standards. And when you get someone who's good, they get poached or they leave because they're surrounded by B and C players, including you as the manager. And then this leaves you stuck in the field, doing the work yourself and believing that nobody wants to work anymore. Trust me, that is not the case. You just haven't figured out how to attract them and get them to want to work for your company. And it's not easy, but it is simple and very doable if you know the steps to take. And that's what I'm going to cover today in this video. Believe it or not, I learned most of this back when I worked for brick and mortar entertainment clients. If you think that hiring people for $20 to $40 an hour is tough, imagine trying to hire quality employees at $11.25 an hour. Anyway, getting people to come out and have fun during the COVID rebound wasn't too hard. The hard part was getting them to come out and work again. So I started taking notes from staffing agencies to see how they were able to recruit for their clients. I took all of their best lessons and applied them to the clients, and what do you know? We were able to hire on demand as long as they actually followed the process. Always the hardest part, right? By the way, if you want help with your hiring system, I do offer 1 free whiteboarding session for any home service business owner who wants to put this stuff into practice. I do have 2 requirements you have to meet, but if you're interested in booking one, the link is in the description. When it comes to being able to attract and hire quality home service employees, it really all comes down to 5 key principles that you need to learn and execute on. Here they are. Number 1, you need to reframe your approach. Think of it this way. Treat your hiring funnel the same that you would your customer funnel. Maybe even better, because let's take an example here. Most employees make you a lot more money than customers on a per capita basis. For example, a business doing $1 million with 10 employees means that each employee is making you $100,000. How many customers are making you $100,000? Probably none. And if you do, then you have concentration risk, but that's a different story for a different day. So you need to treat your employees that way, that they are worth $100,000 a year to you. And I think that's really the start, is to reframe your approach and start thinking that way. And that's going to trickle into the rest of your actions. Number 2, you need to fish in better ponds. Think about it this way. Who answers job posts? Who is typically actively looking for jobs? It's mostly the unemployed and the job hoppers, and chances are that they are not the best quality candidates out there. There's a reason that they're job hopping or that they're unemployed in the first place. Don't get me wrong, there are people in transition periods, you catch them at the right time and it works out great, but on average, the people who are actively searching are not typically the greatest, the A players that you're looking for. But the good news is that they've done studies and 25% of people are willing to switch to another job for the right opportunity. Those are the people you're looking for. Because think about it, the best employees don't need to look for jobs. They're always in demand. People want them to work for their companies. So if you can get them to switch and work for your company, 1 out of 4 people will, and that's how you start to collect the A players. You just have to get in front of them. Key principle number 3 is to build job posts that convert. So a lot of times people are just throwing up responsibilities and duties, and that's super boring, and nobody wants to think about that. You want to sell them like you would sell them with an ad. The job ad, the initial piece, is to get them excited for the position and focus on the benefits. Let's be honest, we all know that there's going to be work involved, but let's talk about the upside for them. Another way to put it is, don't focus on the flight, focus on the vacation. What's in it for them? There's lots of things that they're going to get out of this job, like benefits, growth opportunities, whatever the pay is, bonuses, all those things. Anything you can put in there, you want to promote in your job ads. You're trying to get their attention and say, hey, if you come work for us, these are all the great things you have to gain. It could be culture, it could be team environment. Everybody has an advantage in their position, whether you're small or big. You can always have an advantage from your position. So show that. Number 4 is you need to tighten up your pipeline. Reach out the same day that someone applies. This can be an automated text, but don't make them wait, because they won't. Another thing is to reach out multiple times, just like you would a lead. People are busy. They might not be able to answer the phone, forget, get sidetracked. It happens. So reach out multiple times and get in touch with them. Remember, back in our example, each of these employees is worth $100,000. So isn't it worth reaching out quickly and a few extra times? Probably. You're also going to want to use an ATS, some sort of applicant tracking system. We actually use the same CRM that we use for our customers, we use for our applicants in just a separate pipeline, but have some way to organize the candidates that you have. Make sure it has a calendar and text messaging capability so you can go back and forth. A lot of people prefer that. And the last thing about your pipeline is you need to know your numbers. How many candidates does it take to get a screen? How many screens to get an interview? And how many interviews to get someone who to hire? And how many hires does it take to get someone who actually stays? You want to know your numbers at each stage so that all you have to focus on is to do the math backwards and say, how many candidates do I need to get this many hires that stick? Once you know that, all you have to do is focus on getting the candidates. And number 5, you want to build a system that works. Keep your top of funnel wide, so you don't want to have too many stipulations on the outset because you're going to push away people who could be a good fit. Keep it broad, keep it wide at the top, and narrow as you go your way down. Don't worry about resumes. Here's a question. What does your resume look like? I don't even know when the last time mine has been updated. Don't worry too much about those. These are not resume heavy industries. It doesn't matter what it says on the resume. It matters much more how they perform out in the field. And you're going to be able to get a much better assessment of that if you're talking to them and seeing them in the field than on some PDF. The next thing is you want to optimize for show rates. Best way to do that is to make contact with them and then get a phone screen and some kind of connection or interaction. If you go straight to the in-person appointment, you're going to see a significant drop off in people who actually show up to the interview because they don't know you. And they'll get nervous, they get scared, they just don't want to put the effort in. Whereas if you just take a little bit of time to build a relationship with them over the phone, your show rates are going to increase significantly. As you build volume, you're going to want to move from only one-on-one interviews to group interviews so that you can interview multiple people at a time. Don't want to tell them that these are a group interview because they're going to think that it's a competitive thing where only 1 or 2 people get out of the group, which is not the case because if you get a group of 10 A players, you're going to want to hire 10 A players. But if they think that it's some kind of competitive thing going in, they're going to be turned off by that. So don't tell them it's a group interview, just have them come in, and anyone who's good and qualifies, you can hire. You always want to send reminder texts for these, for any interview really. Remind them that it's coming up. People are busy, they forget. When they forget, they get embarrassed and they don't reply because they're embarrassed and they think that they lost the job anyway, whereas if you just send a text reminder, they're more likely to show up. So I thought about doing the landscaping company as an example, but since it's harder to find technical tradesmen, we're going to see how we put these principles to work at Keil Electric instead. So here's how much an average electrician makes for us a year, and so we treat them that way. We also post on Indeed, job boards, we run Facebook ads, we put ourselves out there everywhere to get the biggest net or top of funnel to start bringing in candidates. We'll put ourselves out there at every possible place we can. Here's what our job ads look like. You can see they focus on the benefits, they focus on what's in it for them is the key. It's not just some list of duties and responsibilities because that's boring and no one cares about that. They know it's a job. They know they're gonna have to do that. But let's not focus on that right now. We want to focus on what they have to gain. Here's what our pipeline looks like. As you can see, all of our candidates go into a spreadsheet that is updated daily by a virtual assistant. Phone screens are done out of this sheet, and that way we keep the CRM clean. Successful interviews then come in for an in-person interview, and then they're hired on the spot if they're qualified. We use the CRM to send automated reminder texts to make sure that they show up. And sometimes people forget and ghost you, not because they don't want the job, it's because they're embarrassed for missing it. And so we think their shot is over, but we just reach out anyway and say, hey, did you have a scheduling conflict? And just make it no big deal. And sometimes they'll just come through off of that. And that's pretty much how we do our system. And that's how we've been able to hire over a dozen electricians in the last year and not had an issue where we couldn't complete work. It's just creating a simple system that we can follow and execute on and do it every time. And then it becomes not a non-issue. It releases the constriction on our growth because we're not worried about hiring people. If you want any of the stuff that we covered in this video, I put it all in a Drive folder that you can access for free. Just click the link in the description and give me an email of where to send it to or where to share it, and we'll take care of you. Like I mentioned earlier, I do offer free whiteboarding sessions for qualifying home service business owners. If you're someone who wants to hop on a call and make a plan to put all this stuff to work and implement into your business. If that's something you want to do, there's a link in the description for that too. See you next time.